It's the Small Business Rally Point for Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, in partnership with the Greater Brookfield Chamber of Commerce, also Third Eye Local, Excel and Flourish, and the Brand Crafted Social Club. I'm your host, Pat Miller. I'm the Idea Coach for Small Step Solutions. The mission of the show is simple: get small businesses together and talk with one another so we can be connected during this uncertain time. We can get information that we might need, and we can help each other out, frankly. On today's show, we're talking about time management, and tips to save time. We're going to bring on Jennifer Buchholz from Excel and Flourish. She's going to share some office-minded software magic tricks. It's going to blow your mind. We're also going to talk with the goddess of time, the time lord herself, Taren Sartler from TikTok. It's all about time. She's going to talk about setting a schedule and maintaining your schedule as we go through these completely unpredictable times. But the way that we like to start the show is we like to get an update on the news, and I can't believe we're so fortunate. Joining us again today from News Radio 620 WTMJ is our official news anchor of the Small Business Rally Point, our guy Erik Bilstad. Billy, good afternoon. What's going on in the news, my friend?
Lots to get to, as always. We'll start with the numbers like we like to do. As of now, there are 457 confirmed cases of COVID-19. In Wisconsin, there are 5 deaths. The majority of the confirmed cases, more than half, are in Milwaukee County. So now it's official. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Governor Evers has now put pen to paper. He is issuing a sweeping order, safer at home order, to close businesses that are deemed to be non-essential. So he has signed it. It goes into effect tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It runs for about a month. It runs until April 24th. A couple of things to be mindful of. That doesn't mean it'll go that long. It doesn't mean it'll go that short. He can change it. He can cut it short. He can extend it. He can do whatever he needs to do. But as of now, this goes until April 24th. So this order prohibits gatherings of any size, places new restrictions on travel across the state as well. So they're trying to keep you from going places you don't need to go. There are tons of exceptions, as I'm sure you would imagine, for something like this. Many of them are pretty ones that you would expect. Grocery stores can stay open, veterinarians, eye care centers, bakeries, pharmacies, gas stations, pet supply stores, liquor stores, oddly enough. Businesses that provide food and beverage manufacturing, processing, and distribution, animal shelters, banks, and the list goes on. So there are many places that will be able to stay open with this. There are some that are pushing back a little bit, some legislators having some issues with thinking that this might be a little bit too tight. However, what the governor did issue today is very similar to many other states in the union. Very interesting and dire comment from Andrea Palm. She is the Health Services Secretary designee, and she generally speaks along with the governor every day around 1:30. And by the way, you can easily find that online if it's something that you want to hear. They usually speak for about an hour or so. She says that without these restrictions put into place, that up to 1,000 people in the state of Wisconsin could die in 2 weeks. It's about as plain as you could say it. So within 2 weeks, if we do not get into some type of let's not interact with each other in face-to-face, then 1,000 people, according to their models, could be dead within 2 weeks. That was her words today. Health officials had previously estimated that 10% of the people who test positive, now they believe it'll be closer to 20% of us who will eventually test positive. Right now, if you look at some of the arcs, if you will, if you look at some of the charts, we're a little bit steeper than Italy was at this same time period. And that's what they're going after. They're modeling off of some of these other models in other countries. So there's that for your Tuesday.
Yeah, just 1,000 dead Wisconsinites. That's all. That's all that's in the news this morning. I need to ask about that, though. So okay. You say that they say if we don't take action, 1,000 people could die. Yes. Isn't the mortality rate like at 1%? So they were thinking we had potentially 100,000 cases would have popped up if we didn't shelter in place?
Well, I think a lot of it, if you look at it from the sense of how many people spread to the next, to the next, to the next. So if you believe that many people are going to be communicating under our current way of living, then more and more people will be carrying or will be diagnosed to be carrying it. And then more and more people, according to those numbers, will also die. That's where that's coming from. It's kind of like the, I shouldn't even try to do the analogy because I'm going to screw it up, but there's like the lily pad in the pond. analogy where there's one lily pad, then the next day there's two, then the next day there's four, and pretty soon there's no more space for lily pads. So that was my attempt at telling you an analogy that didn't work. But,
okay, all right.
The number of people filing for unemployment in Wisconsin continues to skyrocket. The Department of Workforce Development reports that on Monday, more than 21,000 people had filed claims. That's the largest single day total since this outbreak. And they expect that number to even go up even more today, now that the order is going into place, and then maybe even tomorrow, once many non-essential businesses realize they have nothing that they can do. So they've seen a stark increase in the number of people filing for unemployment because of this. The other unique little situation here is that the president today said that he really would like to have everyone back to work by Easter. Now, I believe Easter is April 12th. Yes. So April 12th, he's hoping that maybe they can have everyone back to work, or at least finding a way to help the economy while also being safe and secure. Not sure if they'll be able to pull that off, but that's something that he had said today, trying to figure out how they can open the economy without a health catastrophe. I should also mention that the Dow closed up more than 2,000 today. Why is that? Well, that's because they seem to be on the 2-yard line as it comes to a $2 trillion stimulus package. So this is something that's been going back and forth. The Republicans and Democrats have been fighting over this on Capitol Hill. According to lawmakers working with the White House on this, they think they are very close. In fact, I believe Chuck Schumer said today on the floor that they've agreed to all the hard stuff, that they just got to figure out a couple of T's and cross those and dot a few I's, but they should be good with the stimulus package, hopefully to be voted on by the Senate today, which will dramatically help Wall Street, which has been struggling, as you know, for recent days.
What's a few $100 billion amongst friends, right? That's really all we have left. So we've got the shelter in place. We've got the big bill that we're waiting for out of Congress. Yep. Anything else in the news cycle today that caught your eye that made you as a newsman go, that's interesting?
So Summerfest happened yesterday. So they decided to delay Summerfest. It is now going to be 3 different weekends in September. We spoke with Don Smiley today, the CEO of the big gig, and they don't really have anything set yet. They just figured that there was no reason to wait. He basically said that hope is not a good strategy. So they decided, hey, why not take some more time? Let's figure this out and actually put on a quality show in September. So what they did was they broke it into 3 separate weekends, or at least portions of weekends in September. No acts have really been set yet, but he did say that he expects a headliner or 2 to play the amphitheater before or after those dates in September. Mm-hmm. So Summerfest doing something different this time. It'll be in September. It'll be nice, be fall-like, but also beautiful in Wisconsin. So that's a little something to make you feel a little bit better today. I guess the other one would be that WEDC, the WEDC, which I'm sure many of you folks are aware of. They have obviously all kinds of information on what is considered a non-essential business and that type of thing. Their site crashed today several times because of small business owners and others trying to figure out what exactly this means for them as it pertains to the safer at home order.
So if you have questions during the chat for Erik or Jennifer or Taren, or when it gets to the Idea Slam and you're ready to get some help, just drop yourself in the chat there and we'll unmute your microphone and share it. But because Erik's got, I don't know, the biggest radio station in the state to run, I'll ask the questions to you so we can keep this on time. Okay. Sue in the chat wants to know, how is the crime blotter right now? Is crime pretty much progressing as normal and it's being overshadowed by the virus story, or are we kind of chilling out on the crime statistics at the moment?
About the same. Usually, just the way this works, generally, most of the larger departments in the area, like Milwaukee Police, Madison, and that type of thing, will send us updates on a daily basis with the number of things that are happening by them. So what is happening here? Well, we've had a homicide here, or we're investigating a non-fatal shooting. I know I don't mean to be so trite about it, but that's how they send notes out. We still get those, but there aren't as many of them, and there's nothing as dramatic as of yet. I know that one of the concerns is, and maybe this is something that could happen, I don't really have a way to predict it, is that there's been a worry that perhaps there will be crime that breaks out because of this. As of now, there's no real arc that we've seen. Everything seems to be about the same. In fact, the number of deadly shootings, I would say, just anecdotally, seems to have gone down in the past week or so, only just because I have not seen those MPD results come in every 3 minutes where they say, hey, this is happening. Just have not really seen that. So I don't have the specific percentage, but just from what I've seen and what comes into my newsfeed, it's lower than normal.
All right, well, we will definitely, hopefully check in with you if you have the time later on this week to get an update on the news. And I can share with the group that I spent over 20 years in radio, and to find someone that can understand and be on top of the news as much as Erik is, who can explain it so conversationally and eloquently, extremely rare. You're a gem, Erik. Thank you for coming on, executive producer of news for WTMJ Radio. We'll talk to you later this week. Thank you, my friend. All right, so let's move on now that we got our news all up in here and we feel like we're informed. Let's talk business for a little bit, shall we? We're going to talk today about time management. We're going to talk about saving time and tricks to make sure that you're working as efficiently as possible. Also today, we're going to do our idea slam portion. So if you need a creative idea, you need a hand to help you grow your business, we got some smart kids on the call. Share what you have in mind and we'll call on you later in the call. But first, Jennifer Buchholz from Excel Flourish, she's our executive producer for the show. And she is working on Office Minded, a product that's pretty darn exciting. And she's got some great ideas for us to help us work more efficiently. So when we go from the office to the home office, our screen sizes might be different. We might be working on different computers. Everything's a little bit different. And sometimes it's hard to feel like we're being efficient. So what is on your mind as someone that coaches people for a living with their computer use? How can we be more efficient with what we're doing right now?
Hey, thanks everybody. I'm glad to be here today. I wanted to do a couple things with you. First of all, this was a really helpful temperature check, making sure everybody can still see my screen appropriately with the form.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the deal. Just with the folks on this call, this is really helpful to know how many people are on Mac versus PC and how many people are on G Suite versus Office. That'll help me tailor my tips to you. So here's what starts to happen is we start to get all this stuff cluttering our inbox, and I keep my inbox pretty clean, but anything that's been having the words COVID-19 right now in it, unless it's coming from somebody within my company, I just cannot handle all of those messages. In fact, I started a rule in my personal inbox, and in the last 10 days, I have 99 new updates just with the keywords either COVID-19 or coronavirus. So this can be done in Google, and I'll send it out and get everybody up to date on how you can do it in Google. But in Outlook, right click, go to rules, go create rule, and then don't use all this stuff right there. Instead, go to your advanced options and say when there's the word. So you can either have it with something in your subject line. So we can say COVID-19 in the subject line, or we can add coronavirus. Don't just use the word corona though, because you might get advertisements about beer that you don't want to miss. All right, so if it's in the subject line, and then you can do the same thing with it in the subject or the body and add those same keywords there. And again, you might just want to use COVID, things like that. What happens is we're going to put those all into one folder that I call updates. Okay, so this is the rule. Once you have it, where is it going to go? What are you going to do with it? And we're going to add it to a certain folder. I'm going to make a new folder called updates. I'm not trying to just delete these right away. There might be things that I want to go back and refer to. I just don't want them hanging out in my inbox as I'm trying to get my other stuff done. It is getting overwhelmed and cluttered. So instead, we're going to move it to the updates folder, and you can make exceptions. So you can actually say, if the sender is, if my name is the only name in the to box, right? Or if it comes from a certain sender, you can make exceptions to it. So now when you apply that rule, you may need to go back in that first time to actually run the rule. But after that, after new messages come in, it will actually sweep those to your update folder, and you don't have to worry about all that. So that's just one tip from Outlook that will help you get your inbox under control. The other tip that I want to share with you guys is how are you getting your screen, all the stuff on your screen. So let me reshare. So when you have things up on your screen, and I don't think you can see your screen the same way, that if you have Windows, which most of you were saying that you have Windows, if you left click on the title bar of your program, and drag it all the way off to the side of your screen, it automatically snaps to half your screen. Now, you might not see the full demo of that because it's only in Zoom. We can only see one program at a time, not necessarily my whole screen at a time. But are you guys able to get the gist of what that looks like when I'm doing it?
Yeah, we can. Tell us, what are all the directions? So if you move to the left, that centers it, is that correct?
What happens is when you pick it up, if you're working on one monitor, if you pick it up and drag it all the way off to the right, it's going to drag and make half the screen on the right, and then you can actually select the thing that fits the other half. If you drag it up to the top and to the right, it takes it to a quarter. Bottom to the right takes it to the bottom quarter. Now, I can't demonstrate the left half of my screen because I actually have two monitors side by side, so then it would move it to the other monitor and things like that. But if you're trying to have more things up on the screen at one time, that's called snap. And it can go to the 4 different sides. The last tip in Windows is if you've never tried virtual desktops, there's a little icon, a couple icons away from your start button called Task View. And if you don't all go to it right now, though, it could probably mess up exactly what you're in the middle of. But that Task View can set up additional desktops. And what is helpful with that is if you're in the middle of something and then you realize, oh my gosh, I have to multitask or jump on a call or whatever, rather than shutting everything else down in the meantime, you actually can have that other stuff remain up, switch desktops, it wipes your view clean, jump on your Zoom, and then go back to your other desktop and pick up right where you left off. I'll happily put together a couple quick videos for everybody on that too.
Those snap moves are killer when it comes to going from a 2-desktop environment to a 1-desktop environment, like from the office to the home. Really, really valuable stuff. Now, Michelle from Tech Lab is sharing that if you hold the Windows key and press one of the arrow keys, it will also keyboard shortcut those monitor windows around. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So this is valuable stuff. Now, you teach the Inbox Overwhelm class. What else do you think is valuable when it comes to operating your system in the proper way? Like, are there ways that we can focus on what we're doing better other than just moving our windows around? Are there like hidden tips and tricks inside of Windows?
So one of the things that Windows 10 has added is something called Focus Assist. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you can look at this, go down to your bottom left-hand corner by your start. There's a little search arrow there, or search area. Click on that and type in Focus Assist. What that's intending to do is when you are in a meeting or when you're in your email, it's going to turn off some of those notifications that you might be getting that are going to be distracting to you. That's also how I use that virtual desktop as well, is that when I want to focus on something, I jump to that other desktop. Sometimes having more screens of stuff open becomes more distracting rather than allowing for us to get more stuff done.
Good, good. Any final questions for Jennifer? Put them down in the chat right now. So you went from, you've been working in your current location. Now you just moved offices, right? Are you satisfied with your current setup?
We're okay here. Actually, I don't know if any of you are used to sitting for like 8 hours a day, because I'm not. And so actually, I will share with you my latest trick. This is a massage guy that everyone said, a massage gun. Like, this is heavy duty. I'm not messing around. And when I need to, I'm using this because I cannot believe how much I've been suffering with sitting all day.
Wow. All right, I think we need to find one of those and give them away as like some prize inside the small business rally point.
Good.
All right, cool. Hey, that snap tip is definitely going to be working like gold. Thank you for that. And if you have some of the links to the Gmail controls or the Mac ideas, those shortcuts that you wanted to share, can you drop some links into the chat or follow up with people via email or something like that?
I sure will. And then I do have daily tech tips that I'm doing for 15 minutes every morning at 8:45 if you guys want to join me for that.
Oh, that's great. So tell us about that. What do you mean? Like little web broadcasts, or what are they?
We're going live on Zoom. Angela was there with me this morning, as well as a few other people. Megan was there. And just today we actually talked a bit about Zoom and how to get people set up on that. So whatever is coming up, we're talking more about email stuff tomorrow. So
are you capturing and posting those, or those live only?
They're being recorded, and then once I edit them with my new branding, they'll be posted on my YouTube channel.
Ooh, sneak peek. Is that your new branded over your right shoulder there? That little logo that we see?
It is. It is.
Look at that.
That's as close as we get. Yep.
Oh man, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us, as always, for producing the show. We really appreciate that. It makes my life a lot easier. And also thank you for sharing some tech today. We appreciate it. Let's move on to just big picture time management, because it's not always about the tech. Managing your calendar is oftentimes about making difficult choices and weighing priorities. So let's bring in the goddess, the Time Lord herself, Taren Sartler. TikTok, it's all about time. Taren, am I capturing that right? It's not about your calendar, it's about your choices?
It is, absolutely. Actually, I'm still focused on Time Lord. I'm really liking that title. And
yeah, I think that's
might
good.
have to switch the business card, right? But it is. Everything that we focus on is really adjusting our habits and how we manage our time that we have, right? Manage ourselves within the time that we have. So I'll just run through a few things: sticking to a schedule and a routine, understanding your workspace, knowing your peak hours. And then I actually, if we have time at the end, will give you a task to do after we're done here today that will help you be more productive in the days to come. So let's start with sticking to a routine. Number one, most important, right? We get up, humans crave structure. Dogs crave structure, our kids crave structure, right? There are actually studies done that if you have a hyper dog and you start walking it at the same time twice a day, it will calm down its entire demeanor. So sticking to a routine from a human nature standpoint is super, super important. Go to bed when you normally would if you had to get up and leave the house to go to work. Make sure the kids are going to bed at the same time that they would normally do on a school night. School is still in session. It's just a different format right now. Wake up at your normal time, get showered, get dressed for the day as if you're going to your office. And that's the one I'm going to stress the most. If you're laying around in your day pajamas and then switch out to your night pajamas, I've seen some fun, creative memes. You just have a different mindset. You're not as productive. So I truly, truly encourage you to get up, get showered, get dressed for the day as if you're actually leaving and heading out to an office. Then it's sticking to your regular schedule. So if you normally worked an 8-hour day, continue to hold yourself and commit to an 8-hour day. Take a scheduled lunch, take some scheduled breaks. Again, easier said than done if you have kids at home, but then try to coordinate their learning schedule with your quiet time schedule. So those tasks that they need to learn that they maybe don't need to be supervised for or need a little extra help with, reading time, some study work that they need to do, maybe off on the interwebs. Take that and have that family expectation conversation of, you're going to work on this for the next hour. I'm mom or dad. I'm going to be working in quiet space for the next hour, and we all respect those boundaries. Easier said than done when you have little ones at home. It does not, little ones or pets that might be noisy in the background. Maybe then we start working on setting those tasks that can be done in hours that those kids are in bed or the dogs are quieter, responding to emails, which we can then schedule to go out tomorrow, what have you. Put those tasks at a different time in your day. And it's just adjusting to the new norm. Another thing you really want to focus on is start to get in tune with your own self and what I call peak hours. So we all have a lag during the day. For me, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe an hour after lunch, where I really am just not as focused and as energized. But then when are your peak energy hours? For me, it's 11 in the morning and actually 10 o'clock at night. And that's when I get majority of my high energy tasks done. I have all my money-making client meetings around that 10 to noon sort of time space. I have all of my social media and creative work in the evening, because that's when my brain, it's still flowing, but it's not something that I need to get done during the normal 8 to 5 time frame, right? Then workspace. So that's a little bit about mindset and scheduling, and I'm trying to work on keeping up with any questions here, but workspace. So another reason in making sure that your home workspace is in place for you in the way that you need it to be is, again, mindset shift. So remember being a little child when you would go to a friend's house and spend the night and you just didn't quite sleep as well because you weren't in your own element. Same concept. Being in a new environment is change. Humans don't respond well to change, so we have to figure out how to make our workspace as functional as possible, make sure all of the tools we need to function as though we did at the office are there and readily available for us. Easier said than done, I get that. Try to keep your workspace out of high traffic areas where you'll experience a lot of interruptions throughout the day. Try to make it in a place where you're not going to have a lot of the household triggers for yourself. Oh, I see in the bedroom, I see that pile of laundry there. I want to get up and get that done. If you feel so compelled to do the laundry during working hours, set a timer. Make sure that you give yourself a trigger to come back to work if you take a break. So kind of a funny example, just this morning, my own boyfriend took a break to make breakfast from his morning session, decided he wanted to send an email where things were cooking, forgot food was on the stove, and burned the whole breakfast.
Oh, no.
Yeah, easier said than done, right? Like we want to be at work when we're at work. We want to be at home when we're at home. So how do we separate our brain? Sticking to a schedule, sticking to a routine will help that. Making sure your workspace is an environment where you won't be caught up in the daily household triggers while you're working. And then again, if you do have to do things like any personal tasks, taking a break, checking emails, going on social media, use a timer and a timer that ticks. I talk a lot about this in my workshops because that ticking trigger will force the brain to race against the clock, quite literally, and you'll get those things done. And we'll talk about the rabbit hole of social media and email really quickly, because that's probably the biggest distraction. I myself have spent more time on social media in the last 3 days than I probably have in a month. So it was a reminder to me that if I'm going on social media for business purposes, I set a timer, because if that timer's ticking, even if I slightly start to fall down the rabbit hole, I hear that, I'll consciously start to hear that tick again, and my brain will go, whoops, I'm supposed to be working now, and I shut it down. So just having that mental trigger will help considerably. Make sure your alerts are off during the day. So things like your social media on your cell phone and your computer, unless of course that's your job, right? If you're a social media marketing person, don't stay off social media. You will lose your value right now. But other than that, if it's not necessary to what your tasks are in that moment, shut down your timers, shut down your triggers, your alerts, social media, email, stay out of your inbox. Talk to Jennifer about things like Unroll Me, her class called Inbox Overwhelm. She just taught us a few tricks, and I love the rules concept, going to be implementing that right away. The more you can stay out of those tasks and schedule them for a time where you can complete them in quiet and in a productive manner, the more productive the rest of your day is going to be. And then if you work with a team, yeah, shout out to Claire and Sue. Absolutely. If you work with a team, be sure that you have a way to communicate with them that's not via phone call or email. A way that you can sort of manage tasks without we're inundated with emails right now. Our phones are ringing. Hopefully, right? We're busy. Hopefully they're ringing, or you're making a lot of calls to stay top of mind. So what is a messenger system? There are some examples like Monday, Trello, Asana, Microsoft Team, other instant messengers where you can communicate behind the scenes, and maybe without even having to directly message one another. You can just see project management in real time so that everybody can stay more on task and stay out of the rabbit hole traps.
So you've seen before, like the National Geographic shows at the cartoons where someone goes, uh-oh, an avalanche, and then all the snow comes down. That's what just happened. We just got this avalanche of time management tips. That was unbelievable. Like, I just need a moment, because that was incredible. So I have a few questions. Please. So let's just get into this now. You talked about falling into self-analysis and understanding when your energy times are. But I think there is, even as much as we don't want to admit it, there's work pat and there's home pat. And now work and home pat are having to make friends. And that's affecting our decision making and our choices. You talked a little bit about that, but where do you see that popping up to be the biggest problem?
to be the biggest problem is simply in, productivity, right? But as to how to solve it, is that what we're looking for there? So,
Sure.
yeah. So I would say the easiest way to do that, again, mindset. But when you keep your physical surroundings as close to your work model as possible, if you're not used to working from home, it will help keep your mindset there. Again, stay away from high traffic areas. If you have a home office, close the door, set expectations with the family, set alarms, set timers, and keep the schedule the same. But really, it is all about committing and holding yourself to it. What I would tell everybody is, if you don't understand and maybe that's a strong sense of words, but you really need to understand what you need to do on a day-to-day basis to keep your business functioning in these changing times. And by that, what are your non-negotiables? So maybe Home Pat wants to play and he's itching to go take the dog for a walk, do the dishes. I don't know what Home Pat likes to do.
Pat does not know. That's not what Home Pat wants to do.
Drink some beer.
That may be that, yeah.
It looks like I froze. I'm not sure, but you can hear me okay? Yeah.
You sound great.
So, but yeah, so there it's, okay, I have to make a choice, and it's about being aware. I have to make a choice that I can't be Home Pat until I complete these non-negotiables that I've set aside for myself to finish in this time frame. When that's done, go be Home Pat for a little while, but then set that timer to bring yourself back to work as you need to.
So 2 more quick things. You run several groups. What are your groups doing now to stay together, and how are you moving the TikTok It's All About Time forward during this virtual meeting time? Yeah,
a lot of what we're doing now, a lot of what you're doing, Pat, everything's moved virtual. Zoom, Facebook Live, and Messengers. I actually have my sisters and a group of friends doing a virtual dance party tonight. So we're doing
Home Pat. Woo!
Yeah, woohoo! Yeah, we have a playlist ready to go. So it's really just shifting what we would do in a day-to-day format online as best as we can, automating, delegating, keeping the team together, and keeping the message alive. Definitely more networking, more social time on the phone and the computer than I might normally do. But it's so relevant right now that people are craving a sense of community. And the more we can all be involved in that, the more we'll all pull each other through this.
That's great. Well, I've got one more question before I ask you. Now's the time to do the idea slam. So if you need some help and would like to raise your hand to take the floor, share a challenge that you're faced with, and all the smart kids on the call can help try and come up with a solution for you, let Jennifer know in the chat right now, and we'll call on you here in just a second. But before I let you go, Taren,
yes.
I've seen you speak on It's About Time several times. Do you have one of the tick timers that you like? And would you drop that link into the comments so we know which one you recommend?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. There's a physical timer, and there is also an app, and I will drop both those in there. And as you switch gears here, I'm going to pop off, try and fix my camera, and pop right back in.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for sharing all of the information. It was fantastic. Taren, I think we are going to just go with the Time Lord from now on. Taren the Time Lord, I think, is pretty much your new name. So congratulations on the promotion, and thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the Idea Slam portion of the episode. So if you need some help, you would like to do a little brainstorming for your business, raise your hand, because we would like to include you into this portion of the phone call. One thing I want to share that I mentioned earlier in the show is that we have a couple of partners on board now. Third Eye Local, they came on the show a couple of days ago, and for those of you in Brand Crafted, you know that Third Eye Local is a member of the Brand Crafted Social Club. They presented at Night School in January. Well, Chris and Jandel have agreed to do some pro bono marketing for the Small Business Rally Point. So they're going to go and use their own techniques and talents to help us drive the audience to connect us with more small business owners. So imagine if a door opens and here comes a bunch of people you're not connected to. It's going to help us meet small business owners and help us grow our networks while we're shuttered for up to the next month, which is unbelievable. So a big thank you to Chris and Jandel from Third Eye Local for agreeing to partner on the show. Also, there's one more thing I'd like to add before we move on to the Idea Slam, if anyone wants to jump in. I've added some opportunities to connect and help you as well. So the next part of this, the small business rally point, is putting myself out there and saying, hey, I can help you in your business. And I've started some mastermind groups, which are just like they sound. We're going to meet every other month for about an hour, talk about what's going on, how can we help, coaching and consulting, and then I'm going to offer you my mission control software where you can track your deliverables, your metrics, and we can communicate back and forth. So if you could use a coach, if you could use a little bit of accountability in your life, if you could use some perspective and some of the things that I can offer you from an idea coaching standpoint, let's get in touch after the call, because the Rapid Rally Mastermind groups are going live, and the first one starts Thursday at noon. And there's some space available there if you want to invest just a little bit. And this is a 90-day group. So we're going to get together for 90 days, get through all of this uncertainty, and then get back to our regular business. But it's an opportunity that's there. So let's see. We've got Claire that wants to come on. So let's have Claire come on and say, hello, Content Claire. What's on your mind?
Hello. Well, I just figured this would be a good opportunity. I just wanted to bounce an idea off the group. So, of course, I've been seeing lots of small business and entrepreneur friends have to close business or drastically reduce. And now they want to take advantage of the time that they have to work on their social media or their email or all those fantastic content things. So I've been toying with the idea of, because I want to help, and I've been toying with the idea of how to help. So I'd love to just get some opinions from the group, but I was thinking of doing either just like free, like 30-minute webinars that are like really focused on a topic, or if I just uploaded videos to YouTube and just promoted like a YouTube, just like free mini trainings for that small business owner that's now got some time to work on those social media, email, and of course, blogging projects. So I'd just love to hear from the group. Like, does that sound like a good idea? And my cat is like chewing on me right now.
So let's say you had 10 of, what's the cat's name?
Princess.
Princess, of course. Looked like a princess.
Yes.
So let's say you had 10 of these folks raise their hand. If you had to project, of those 10, what do you think the most popular topic would be that people are saying, oh my gosh, Claire, help me with this?
So, I mean, social media for sure. Probably like, I mean, I've even had some people reach out like, can you show me how to schedule on Facebook? Because I've never learned and I want to just try. So even just like technical social media Q&A and help. And then also I've been getting asked frequently about, can I do anything for my SEO right now? But I don't know what SEO is. So what should I do? I'm like, well, just start beefing up your content. So maybe like a mini training on what SEO is and what you can do now to improve it. I'm seeing nodding heads. Okay, great.
Yeah, it sounds like people want that. Michelle from Tech Lab is sharing that webinars about social media have some good traction right now. And you've done webinars before, haven't you?
Yeah. So do you think should I do them as like a webinar through my Zoom, or should I just upload the videos to YouTube and just promote specific videos?
If anyone has an opinion of that, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. Would love to hear your feedback.
I have an opinion.
Oh.
And can you hear me, by the way?
You're there, but you're low.
Up.
Oh, now you sound
Here
good.
we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So, no, I do have an opinion. I think where you get much more value out of it is, yes, indeed, you can do some of those things on YouTube, but you open up your schedule for 2 weeks, 20-minute strategic calls with people. And to them, they're strategic. It's more tactical. You know, that's what you're helping them with. All those things are tactical things, but you're a real subject matter expert. Mm-hmm. So you brand yourself in that capacity, helping these people, because you're not trying to make money, correct?
Correct. Just want to help.
Right. And so you brand yourself as that subject matter expert, and you could even go out to your people and say, here's a list of 7 things that people have been asking about, you know, because that way you can get people to focus a little bit so that you're not all over the board.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a fair amount of those people are going to have the same problem, the same issue.
So have 7 top things and just like schedule out 7 webinars, and then also have like 20-minute.
Well, I would say that you do individual calls. You know, unless again, now if your time is really full right now, if you've got a full load, then that's a different situation. But I think that it really could provide some value to some of these companies who right now you have a chance to really tighten up your business relationship.
Yeah.
By giving them 15 minutes of coaching about one thing, you know, not spending an hour, but 15 minutes to help them stuff that they can do on their own.
Claire, may I?
Yeah,
please.
So you I'm just a big green tea now, but nice, right? So I like what he's saying in regards to doing sort of a strategizing session or a quick one-off with individuals. I think you're going to gain more traffic though, and not necessarily in the webinar space, not something where people have to be there at a predetermined set time, because so many of us are already like, I've got Pat scheduled out at 3:00 for the next several weeks, right? In hopes to be here. Welcome. Yes. But there are more and more of these starting to pop up. The networking groups are going virtual. So to try and combat with all those time commitments will be difficult. So putting out those videos on YouTube and then launching them for people to visit on their own time, I think you'll gain a lot more traction in the value space. I do like those strategy calls though. You know, I just set up, it'll launch later today or tomorrow, where I'm doing a 10-minute time challenge. And it's a link that connects to a specific set of times predetermined already in my calendar. They can't schedule for any other times than what that link allows. But then it's a one-on-one 10-minute conversation. What are you struggling with in your business and how can I help you? And I think that's where your major value add is. And you can announce that every time you do one of these posts via YouTube and share it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
And if I could add though to that, one of the things that I have found is that in the last 3 weeks, I have booked about probably 15 total 20-minute calls, okay, because I had a previous promo going. And I will tell you that I've had a no-show rate, even though I am texting them and emailing them ahead of time. I've had a no-show rate of probably a third, okay, which is really interesting. Now I realize this is kind of a weird time, and at the time that these people book these, maybe life got a little crazy on them, but they still had the text reminders and the email reminders, and there's still no shows. So if you've got the, I'm going to say patience for that, and I think that patience is the right word maybe for that. If you're willing to just say, okay, well, I got blown off, and figure something else you can do with that 15, 20 minutes, and don't plan like that's like life or death, you know, for you for 20 minutes. Yeah. I think that's going to have to be a good attitude to have.
So where is the naughty spot for the lifestyle, LinkedIn lifestyle? It's like, if they don't show up, are you going to reschedule with them, or are they dead to you and you move on?
They are not dead to me yet.
Okay. Not yet. Yes.
A couple of no-shows makes them dead for a while, and then I'll come back around. But I'm trying to reschedule, and I'm trying to empathize, and I'm trying to, you know, to say, life got crazy, I get it, let's try this again. But I just wanted to forewarn you that right now people are just a mess. So
sure.
Taren makes a good point, saying that, you know, when you're doing appointments for free, there will be a high no-show rate. We've all experienced that. One thing I was thinking for you, Claire, is when someone needs you, they need you, right? Like, I just need this question answered. I wish I knew someone that knew the thing. And I was thinking maybe of a little campaign that you could run, like Gotta Call Claire or something like that, because it's short, it's catchy, and you could have maybe a hyperlink that's in your signature of content emergency, gotta call Claire, click here, and it's like direct either a chat to you, maybe it's a Facebook Messenger, or whatever your preferred mass appeal chat is. But I kind of like that idea of, because that's how big relationships start, is that very first step over the threshold of gotta call Claire, better call Claire, or something like that. So thank you, Branded ROI, for better call Claire. That's good as well. But yeah, is that helpful? Is there anything else anybody else wants to add?
Very helpful. Oh, Jennifer.
Excellent. Yes, Jennifer, what are you doing on YouTube?
Hey, so I had to develop a private section for a particular client. And what I did is I made a private YouTube channel, and I've only shared that with the people who should have that link, which is really helpful. So if you're talking about like a lead capture type of opportunity, it's, hey, once I know who you are, and even you can ask them a couple of key questions about like what their biggest opportunities for learning are, or, you know, like to give you direction to inform the content that you're sharing. Like you can say, we're going to do these top 3 topics. These are the next, you know, vote on your next 3 or something like that. Then you can do, you know, this is what the demand is. So that's what you're going to supply. But we created a private YouTube channel that I'm only sharing with that group. So then it doesn't mean you can't use that content later publicly, but perhaps you actually learn some stuff that you might improve that content as well. The other thing, your content is like one source of expertise, but you, Claire, and your brain are another. If you want to go the one-on-one route, there's a way to go deeper with that. But the other option is to do a live webinar, just like this, and say, okay, I'm going to go live once a week. And so then you get that like mass and people asking different questions that other people might not have thought of. So, and then that's only tying up X amount of your time versus, you know, all those little bits and pieces. So
yes, I love that.
Excellent. Okay, so if there's someone else that wants some help, we would love to talk to you. And while we think about that, I want to check in on my guy, Michael Creed. I see that you've joined us today. I just want to do a wellness check on you because your head was about ready to pop off before all of this went down because you had everyone and their sister wanting to refinance or get a mortgage. What's going on right now? Are you hanging in there?
Yeah, we're doing well. And rates are actually getting down to, they're flirting with the lows that they were when this all started a while back. So the frenzy's probably about to start again. Purchase activity, we really haven't seen any downturn. Purchase activity is still up. Sellers aren't as willing to let people into their houses as they were before, but it's personally doing great. I kind of right around the time you guys talk about getting used to working from home, and I used to work from home full time for many years before I grew the branch. So this is kind of just old hat for me. I did recently move my office though. I'm not in my office anymore. I'm sitting in our sunroom now, kind of like what Jennifer had done recently, because it turns out that dogs and me full time don't work well with my allergies. But everything's good. We're good. I appreciate you checking in, and we're staying crazy busy. Your team's going, and we're doing well.
Excellent. Well, it's great to hear. We've got a couple other faces that have joined the call for either the first time or the first time that I've noticed. To everybody that's come on for the first time, thank you for joining us today. And if there aren't any other ideas for Idea Slam, I'll give you one more second to think about that. I do want to check in with our friend Phil Reinhart. So Phil, I'm glad you're on the call today. Can you check in and tell us what are you seeing right now on social media and what you're doing to engage with people?
What am I seeing in social media? A lot of whining, complaining, people bored off their yin yang and doing crazy videos. You know, I have taken the approach of I'm trying to do things that are that I've been putting off forever and a day. They're gonna help my business, you know, in the future. That's why I put that out on the chat. I'm thinking about organizing an SEO boot camp type thing. Meet weekly, give assignments next week, discuss the assignments, see if anybody's had any issues, try to help them through those issues, and just kind of systematically help them improve their SEO in 90 days. And then once we are out of this freaking mess and can get it back out in the world and try to get back to normal business, you might be sitting a little bit better SEO wise. I've been toying with this for days and days, and I'm starting to organize things, and I hopefully we'll launch that soon.
Is that just putting it into presentation form, or do you have to write it still?
Yeah, I want to be able to like, all right, this is the marching orders for this week. Do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Have links and, you know, things for people to go to. Make it easy, not make it difficult. And then, you know, discuss any questions, and then set them for a week. come back the next week in a setting just like this. I've been doing I've moved all my meetup groups. I do 6 meetup groups a month. Moved all my meetup groups to this kind of format too. I got WordPress meetup group, SEO, social media, digital marketing, so on and so on. But I'm thinking about doing the same kind of thing for this SEO project. People that are serious, people that want to. I'm probably going to charge for it because, to your point, a couple of you made a point. Attendance is wishy-washy. I think if they had some money invested in it and really was serious about improving their SEO and the rankings before this gets over, I think it might be worth it.
Okay. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in an SEO class like that? Looks like we got a couple of sounds great and you can do it, Phil, and some sure's coming through the chat. So not to put my coach pants on, but I might as well, because someone told me I need to dress like I'm going to work. So when is this going to be live? Like, what's the problem?
Well, last week I've been dealing with, hey, I need to put a COVID-19 statement on my website quick. I've been kind of for the past week or so.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have things ready, and then I was going to launch it next week. That's what's taking me.
I'd never heard of a day called Hopefully. So what day is this going to go live?
Listen to this.
Well, come on. We've got people that are interested. We want to buy it. Let's go. We're all asking.
I'll probably have it ready by Monday.
Oh, man. I'm going to unmute Ariel here, and she's going to eviscerate you. I'm telling you, you can't just say these wishy-washy words, my friend, but I'm just giving you a hard time. We're interested in everything you have to share, and I just wanted to check in because I hadn't heard from you yet, and thanks for coming on the call, and make sure that you circulate in Brand Crafted.
Got things going here.
Hey, that's right. I'm glad you're too busy to come on. You're making the money. Sue, what do you have to share?
I have a question for Phil. Phil, you're so involved in Bastille Days and all of that stuff. Can you share anything? Have they talked about any decisions that you can share?
Bastille Days, they don't have any answers. They did push Jazz in the Park back a month, but I think with the statement that Summerfest just released, I think they'll probably reevaluate that. It's kind of last I talked to them, it's been a day-by-day fluid type of a thing. So I don't have solid answers for you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And once you do get it, and once you start posting it, be sure to alert all of us so we can help you start to share that. Because I think that's whatever we get, whenever it comes, we're all going to need it.
Yeah.
And so whatever we can do to help spread the word, then let us know.
Cool.
Great. Well, Phil, thanks for sharing. And I mean it out of good intention. We're wishing you luck and trying to cheer you on. And I am going to unmute Ariel because she raised her hand. So Ariel, be kind. What have we done wrong today, and where are we off track?
No. That's not why I raised my hand.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the show. What do you have on your mind?
I didn't need to. You got this, Pat. You got this. I loved it. No, actually, I have an idea to get some initial thoughts and feedback on.
Okay.
So at the start of this, I actually started to realize that I wanted to do more workshops within my business. And some of those involve Myers-Briggs and other types of workshops. And I thought, based upon us all going virtual, what a time for me to embrace virtual workshops with teams. So I want to do virtual workshops with teams, a lot of it being Myers-Briggs, other types of, and other things that I'm certified in to increase awareness of self and other team members and clients. Now, the questions I want feedback on is, what are the challenges or objections that I'm going to come across when just talking with team leaders about doing these virtual workshops? And what would all of you, as those in business, get excited about? What would pull you in? And what other ideas should I consider within these virtual workshops for teams?
Can you give us one of the products that you think would be most beneficial so we can identify what's in it for the leader that decides to hire you? Just so we can riff off of one idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The one I thought I would lead with, because it's already fairly well known, is Myers-Briggs workshops, which is about understanding your personality type and the personality types of your team so you can better understand your communication and communicate more effectively. That's one type of workshop that I would do.
with how difficult it is to communicate clearly in an email, understanding your team better would certainly be super valuable right now. If you could help leaders write clearer emails based on understanding your team members, that would certainly be beneficial. So what's the distribution? Through webinar or through other methods?
I thought it was through Zoom.
Through Zoom? Okay.
Through
Jennifer
Zoom,
Buchholz?
and then you can do breakouts too.
What were you, Jennifer, had something to add? What was that, Jennifer?
So the thing to keep in mind is to really think about where your customer is at right now. And the problem that they're trying to solve is not a right now problem. They're in a different version of survival and planning. But the problem that you're looking to solve could certainly be a 2-week out problem once things have settled into a new place. So I have some resources for organizations, like one of my mastermind groups is we strictly sell training to corporate. That is the whole mastermind group. So I'm happy to share with you a little bit of perspective that I'm getting in there. While on some hands, there's people closing the biggest deals of their lives because of the work that they, supply. There's others who are going to not have work for a long time. So I think you have to position this as this is really essential from an engagement and retention position. And figure out like the right way to capture them in the moments when they're not scrambling, and really going back to that idea of who's essential and who's not essential. Focusing on our business is important, but it's not an essential business kind of thing. So you know where their mindsets are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. That's
Amanda, what do you got?
Yeah, another thought that I've learned and valued is there's like 4 or 5 generations in the business workforce right now, and just kind of connecting those. So keeping that in mind, in addition to Myers-Briggs, because Myers-Briggs helps you as an individual and it kind of helps you as a team, but I've really found it's more helpful to like learn how the different generations talk and how they think, and then kind of compare them. Especially in a bigger team setting, that has been more beneficial, I feel, in my thought process. But knowing that someone who's 50 is going to think and act differently than somebody who's 30, than somebody who's 18 or 20, and especially now that we're all forced to be isolated and online. I mean, the people in their 50s and 60s are scrambling. They don't have a clue what to do, and that's not like targeting. My husband's a professor. All of his classes had to go online. And he's in his 30s, and so he's fine with it. And he's taught online. This isn't a big deal for him, except for it's a crap ton of work. But the professors who are older, this is a big deal. They're like, what is this? So, and that's just in the education realm. And in the business realm, just kind of thinking of the generations could be helpful. Even if it's not your first one, just something else that I've been trained on and have found very useful.
That's great. Thank you. That's great feedback, Amanda. I appreciate it. So if you have any other help requests, put it in the chat right now. But I do want to check in with a few familiar people who are on the call real quick. I want to go over and see if Rene Kasper is joining us. So Rene, you're there. What's going on with real estate? Will they let you inside houses right now? Or what happens to your business in the era of social distancing?
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Hi, everyone. So today it all came down. They've announced that real estate services are an essential, falls underneath the essential, which is great, with a huge caution, right? It's not a required thing, meaning that if a seller does not want someone in their house, then, we cannot, proceed with that particular listing. So that's the biggest caution is we still have to do individual showings, and things like that, but it's business as usual, but not really. So the good thing is that in every other service industry that surrounds, lending, banks, and some construction, some inspections, and all of those services around real estate is also deemed essential, which is great news as well. And so we continue, some of the ideas that us realtors are doing. We're doing virtual showings, and then if it's a second showing, if they're really serious, then we bring them in and stagger the people that are in the home, for example. There's lots of things that we can do. We don't have to, I think it really depends on the client, it depends on the realtor, et cetera. But I think hopefully we'll remain prudent in terms of, not going crazy like, a typical spring market just because of the health and the safety of everyone. But I have sellers who have to sell still, and I have buyers that must buy. So it's just a matter of, picking those, and prioritizing them.
Is it too early? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is it too early to get a feel for what's happening with home prices and what's going on with buyers and sellers and their relationships?
Yeah, so remember that, 2008 was a different thing, right? This is not a housing issue. It's a health issue, which is good. The prices, the values of the homes are still remain high. Demand, I just had several offers on a home, 5 offers on a home overnight happen on Friday, which is in the middle of all this, and so it's, the buyers are out there strong. The sellers who are serious, and we're just taking really super precautions. I forgot your question.
Home prices is what I was going for, is to see what was going on there. So it sounds like they're okay.
Yeah, they're fine. They really are.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I'm not going to let Bob get off the call without asking. Bob sells for Spirity. He joined us the other day, and we had a good talk. So did you sell anything yet? Have you sold any Spirity in the last day or two?
Not yet.
Oh, come on. Let's go. We got to sell something.
I'm working on it. Generating a lot of leads, and I have a lot of interest in my company, right?
Good.
Every single call that I get is either a hard no or I'm interested, but this is just not the right time.
Sure.
So, it's a numbers game. Just keep on going.
All right, man. Well, keep your head up. We're cheering for you, and welcome again to the group. And I see Garrett, who's checking out his radioactive rocks. Is that what you're working on right now? You were showing off what was uranium rocks? Is that what you were selling on Facebook the other day? What was that about?
This is one of my uranium glass rocks. Uranium glass was really big in the 1930s, and they don't make them anymore. So I take the broken pieces and cut them, and they will flash up on the Geiger counter. And if I have black light with me, they light up neon green. But no, my stress relief is playing with my gemstone rough. So that's what I'm doing, is just going through my gemstone rough.
We appreciate that. All right, everybody. So here's what's going on. I want to thank all of you for being a part of this, and the additional information from the poll is going to help me make these calls even better and more valuable to you. Thank you to the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce for their continued promotion of this. Jennifer Buchholz for being the executive producer and just a smart kid in general. We appreciate it. The Brand Crafted Social Club, who we've been broadcasting live to this whole time on Facebook, so shout out to them. And our friends at Third Eye Local, who are now sponsoring the show. They're going to start marketing this to all the small business owners in Southeast Wisconsin. So hopefully we'll be able to grow the size of the calls, and you can meet some people you haven't met before and get input and help other people as well. Because as you all know, the more healthy our ecosystem is, the better it is for all of us. So my little ask for you is to consider sharing this show with the folks that are in your network. That way we can help everyone get a leg up and survive this new normal that we're all living in. So with that, we're going to cut it off for Tuesday, the 24th of March. It's the Small Business Rally Point. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach from Small Step Solutions. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 p.m.